Go. What's up, my guys? Welcome back to Cuts with Cut. Don 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 don. Dalandan. Ay. Anyway, so eto po yung reclaiming vlog. Sorry po kasi hindi po kami like very like updated. So guys, yung last video namin was months ago kasi busy talaga kami sa school and madami kaming mga requirements na ginagawa and since half online siya and half face-to-face, so naging mahirap siya para sa amin. Actually lahat naman tayo nahirapan. Anyways, now that our classes are over and babalik na naman kami sa August, mas may time na kami para mag-vlog and as you can see sa harapan namin, meron kami mga prepare na food.
Okay, so today we will be doing part 3 of reading spooky stories or facts
While
mukbang.
having a
While having a mukbang.
So before we start eating, I'm just gonna like pour us some drinks. So who wants to start reading? Okay. So this is actually a scary fact. Just book your friends on it. Number 1, there is an Asian book full of strange symbols no one can translate.
Maybe
I feel like the
it's
symbols are runes, which is like from witchcraft and wizardry. Runes are basically like symbols for like spells.
maybe the language really doesn't exist then.
Well, one of our teachers in Filipino really told us about the fact that Philippines has a lot of languages, but then when the Spaniards colonized our country, they burned it because they thought that the Filipinos back then were actually supporting demons.
In 1872, a ship was discovered floating in the ocean with no signs of its crew or passengers.
That's actually possible.
It was called the Mary Celeste, and when people stepped aboard, they found no one there, and no sign of a struggle either.
Well, I think that may be possible, like some
Bermuda.
ship crews, they need their boats for safety. But the question is that when did the ship sink? If it sank like I don't know 100 years ago.
Yeah.
By the way, guys, I know it's weird that we are speaking in English, but at the same time, we are also speaking in Filipino. We just want to make sure that everybody who watches this video understands what we are saying. So as much as possible, we're doing our best to speak in English.
Yeah.
So when I was a kid, I heard this story from my elderly, and they told me that there was once a child living with her grandmother, and her grandmother had a ring. And then when her grandmother died, the daughter or the girl wanted the ring so badly that she went to the grave of her grandmother and cut off her finger. And ever since, the grandmother followed her everywhere. Oh, that's creepy. But to be honest, like, there is this saying where you should never ever take a dead person's belongings because that person will literally follow you everywhere because you have something that belongs to them.
So it's kind of disrespectful to their
Yeah.
art.
I have this story. I mean, you guys know this already, but I want to share it with others as well. Our grandfather once heard loud music playing, like not far away from our house, and he decided to follow that sound because it sounded like disco, like people, a place where people party a lot. Anyways, our grandfather tried to follow that sound, and when he reached to that destination or closer to that destination, it suddenly stopped. And so he went back home, and then right after he arrived at home, the sound started to play again. And it was honestly very creepy. And our grandfather told our great great grandfather, the father of our grandmother, and our great great grandfather told him that it's pretty normal and it's okay because he once saw a cap of a Japanese soldier floating. And I remember when I heard that, I was literally traumatized. I decided not to go
I think
outside.
the spirit thought he's still alive.
Yeah, indeed. Because it's kind of like accurate because like we were colonized by the Spaniards, the Americans and the Japanese before and they lived a mark, right? And most of them died here because of the war. Anyway.
After my parents divorced, when I was a teenager, I lived with my mother. I experienced lots of paranormal happenings. Several times when I was reading in my bed, the room would start to feel really icy. Next, it would feel as if something or somebody that hated me was staring at me. When I got that feeling, I would leave the room and come back an hour later. Sometimes, during the day, I would see a shadow figure sneaking along my bedroom walls. Something in the flat was pretending to be my dog. I went into my room and heard a deep growl from under the bed. My dog wasn't capable of making a noise that deep. It sounded like either a really big dog or a man doing his best dog impersonation. Other times, my dog would whimper and pace in the room next to mine, but wouldn't come when I called, as if he was afraid of something in the hallway. When I moved in with my father, the paranormal activity stopped. What if it was his father?
No. We watch a lot of creepy stories as well, right, Yami? That's why we saw some paranormal experts share things like a spirit was to attach with a human being. Probably that spirit was to attach with a mom. My dad used to work as a corrections officer at a rural prison. He drove the perimeter of the property for his entire shift, where he would check empty buildings for runaway inmates. It was generally a boring job. One night, my dad was parked on a hill reading a magazine when he started to feel a thumping in his body. He described it as the feeling you get when speakers are playing a song with really heavy bass. He put the magazine down and checked his rearview mirror where he saw someone outside the truck. He grabbed his pistol and jumped out of the truck with his weapon drawn. Outside the truck, he realized it was a procession of Native Americans walking through the truck and directly through his seat, only to disappear at the exact spot he was sitting. He said it was clear they were ghosts because many of them appeared injured. This went on for a few seconds and then the whole procession disappeared. He told the other perimeter guy on his walkie to try to explain, and the other guy almost immediately stopped communicating. Turns out the other guy had seen this happen before but didn't believe in ghosts, so he wouldn't talk about it.
Maybe for like if you're looking for a scientific explanation, I think it's hallucinating. He's hallucinating since they work like a really night job, and I think it's really a ghost.
It's a spirit.
Yes.
I read or I saw this short about like Native Americans, specifically those um, Native people from Hawaii. It's a very long story, so it would kind of be unjustified if I'm going to talk about this, but you can make your own research because it's really interesting to hear stories and experiences from other people who also saw some spirits marching like in the middle of the night, like sometimes like yes, in the middle of the night it usually happens. Yes, playing drums and
Or
according
either like marching.
yeah, marching.
Ala, dala kayo ng katingin here.
The Walking Dead. I am a psychiatrist nurse and early in my career. I work at a residential mental health facility One of her residents was an elective mute, which means that he couldn't talk. But there was no medical reason as to why. He had spoken earlier in his life and in fact seemed quiet normal back then. With the, with exceptions of being close to 7 feet tall, he'd been raised in the deep south and joined the military when he was 19. But but one night, he vanished. He was declared AWOL, and eventually he was declared missing and dead. 10 years later, a 7 foot tall man walked into a VA hospital emergency room in my part of the Midwest and said to the receptionist, "My name is Marion Deschene, not the real name, and I've been dead for 10 years." Those were the last words he ever spoke. He was covered with dust and he was wearing the same clothes he's been reported to be wearing the night he vanished. His social security number has not been used and he had no identification with this person. However, they were able to identify him, I guess, via fingerprints. The family was notified, but they said they had already grieved their lost one and that whoever that was claiming to be him simply could not be. They demanded not to be contacted again. Marion paced all day, every day, moving his mouth and looked like talking or muttering, but no sound came out. He had an unnerving habit of throwing his head back in his mouth, wide open as if he were laughing heartily, but not even a breath could be heard. If I talked to him, he appeared to listen periodically, throwing his head back in the lantern-making way of his. Various medications were tried, but they did not affect him either positively or negatively. Occupational therapy did nothing because Marian would just grin unless he called to stay put. He'd get up and start pacing again. On my last day at the job, the last thing I saw was Marian pacing in the parking lot, throwing his head back to back. Later, I wondered if all along I'd been living in the post. All these years later, it's never
That was crazy.
But you know, it was kind of sad that his family literally just left him. They could have just looked and stayed for themselves.
Or
you
even
know.
showed like a little, like they care.
Here, however, as mentioned, he has been dead for like 10 years.
But what if the parents didn't believe him because they already had the body?
But, you know, it was also mentioned that he was like missing.
He was missing, but what if they found it? Like before he came?
Not sure.
You would scare your friends like there was a ghost even if there wasn't. And then it's like you're attracting ghosts.
Oh, yeah.
We tried it once. I tried to scare my classmates from my previous school. I tried to scare my classmate with Hanako-san.
Oh,
Do you remember?
No.
Basically, I will explain to you because I told her Hanako-san and she got into her. Like, she really got interested in Hanako-san. Hanako-san is basically a Japanese girl which she has been bullied all her life. And then the World War II came and a nuclear bomb was spotted at their school and it just like exploded. And Hanako-san was still in the bathroom crying in the third stall and on the third floor. And she basically hunts people when they come into the bathroom, third floor and third stall.
Yeah, so I scared them like I opened the door but like parang sadya them. Then after that, a few days later, I tried to scare them again, but this time it was real. But they didn't believe me. It was real, and someone closed the light, and they thought it was Mana Cancer, which is our janitress. Yeah. And until now, we still don't know how that happened. Maybe because we were like together because we were scared, but they didn't believe me because they thought,
You were the one behind it all.
yeah. But I know.
So guys, that is it for today's video. Don't forget to
Like,
share.
subscribe, and hit the notification bell button so that you'll be notified whenever we post a new video like this one. GOOD,
BYE.
goodbye!
Then maluyong.
That's okay, bro. You need to adjust. Lower your head. Hello guys, we're
Kasi
back.
tulad pa rin sila po. Panahon nila.
I'm too tall for that.
Oh my gosh!